It's part of the, would she be handling that part of it?
She oversees the police department, and right now we're currently looking for a code enforcement officer.
We actually started our custody.
No, we
Yeah.
just started.
We just hired a code enforcement officer.
Yeah,
But codes are still being enforced and they're still valid in the city.
yes,
you mean,
that
okay.
is correct.
Or they're not
Yes.
negated because we're without an office.
So we just hired, I will forward this again to Chief, because I know that you started working with Officer Eustace a
Correct,
while ago,
correct,
right?
correct, yes.
So maybe that lost momentum, and now that we have a new officer, code enforcement officer here,
You do have one.
we just hired one.
Okay, okay. Well, I guess we're a little frustrated in that, okay, we'll do this, we'll forward it on. We need a time frame for this situation. There are rats running across the yard at this time.
Sure.
They also have been verified, wasn't able to catch the picture. And so we've got a lot of, health issues and more things are being brought in rather than taken out of the property.
Yep.
So
So,
you can give me some,
I'm gonna forward this to Chief,
Okay.
and I don't know, I have it right here in front of me, so I can just forward it to him. And I see the interaction with Eustace, and you got really good records
Yeah.
here, so. Great, and I will quickly give you a call, Kelly.
Okay. Okay,
Mayor, with your permission and council's permission, could I ask if she could read that into the council record?
what I'm going to
Take you
complain
on
for.
that as well? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Yeah, and it's got the phone, I'll skip the name, phone number, but the address is 424 North 7th Street in St. Helens. Description, I have dump, city lot with a home. Nuisance code violations include but not limited to garbage piles, old tires, broken appliances, refrigerators, dishwashers, broken down hot tub, broken down unlicensed vehicles, wood piles, junk, debris, flammables, and rats. All visible from the street. There has been contact from police, but no action taken. And that's why we're here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I usually filter complaints through. Can you give me that and then the pictures? Do you have those with you?
Yeah, can I get a copy of this?
Oh, sure.
They only gave me one. Yeah, and the pictures were for them or you that they have them. So you can have.
Oh, maybe.
I do
Forward it to
have,
me.
I can.
If you can just forward that.
You got it.
You probably need that, yeah, I don't have.
And I'll get you a copy of that. And you guys. Perfect.
I can share that I did talk with that property owner just maybe a week and a half ago,
Oh,
and
you did?
heard a counterpoint to all the harassment she's getting to clean up her property, but
She's not being harassed by anybody in the neighborhood at all.
by the city, so.
Okay. Well, it's not harassment when you're breaking,
City administrator.
when you're breaking the law and we live in a municipal, a beautiful city. And this woman right here has the most beautiful yard in the world and right next door. I should have brought pictures of that. And we're trying hard to get that end of the town cleaned up and we struggle with that kind of thing.
What I can tell you is, go ahead and come on up.
Okay,
I can state your name for the record.
my name is Connie Parr and I live at 414 North 7, right next door to these people. I think it's wonderful what you guys are doing with the city. I mean, these plans are just beautiful and I've lived here since I was in the 3rd grade, so I'm very proud of what's going on. I moved back to Lincoln City for a while and then back here a year and a half ago. When I moved here, I bought this little house and the blackberries and vines were way high and I've worked really hard to clean up this whole yard. And then next door has been unbelievable, the blackberries and the trash and everything, it's just a mess. As you come down my driveway, you can look right into all of this. So anyone that comes to my house can see this mess compared to what I'm trying to do. And they'll say, can't you get something done here? And it's like, we're trying, but it's very difficult. And I realize that now this lady who says this is her house, she's lived there 27 years, she's not getting any respect, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, come on, we're trying, we have respect for this neighborhood and we want to, I mean, people coming into St. Helens should not have to see this kind of living arrangements, And I know I have to say they worked really hard to get the blackberries down and that, but under the blackberries, I don't know.
Now we can see it all. The blackberries were covered in.
Yeah, it's like a hoarder or something. I don't know who had all of this broken down stuff, but they filled a huge dumpster full of stuff. But there's probably 4 or 5 more dumpsters that could be.
And they brought a U-Haul in and dumped more in there. Doing this.
So,
Family with family moving in and out, and they took a dumpster out and brought 2 dumpsters worth in.
you know, I don't know what we can do other than come to you.
So my city recorder. You want to ask?
So just to let you know, like nuisances, they do come through my office. So I'm familiar with what we have on the books right now as far as what we need to take care of. Since we haven't had a code enforcement officer for a while. So we have several nuisance properties that have been declared nuisances. And so the process for doing this is the complaint. And then it goes to the code enforcement officer who starts communicating with the property owner. And then the property owner has until a certain time to get it cleaned up. If they don't get it cleaned up, then the code enforcement officer gives it to me. And then we do a resolution to declare it a nuisance. Once it's declared a nuisance, then we go ahead and do another letter to them to say you have 30 days to get this done. If they don't get it done, then the city has the right to go in and clean it up. It's called abatement. We do the abatement and we charge the property owner for that. They have a certain amount of time to actually pay the abatement to the city. And if they don't, then we put a lien on the property. So that's the process that we go through. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes
Right.
a while.
Right, but my concern is, when I contacted Officer Eustace and they made the attempt, and I contacted code enforcement. The process should have been started at that time. Nothing was said about filing the nuisance report. I came in and asked and was told that that's another step you can take, but it's going to be quicker if you go through law enforcement or come to city council. So that was dropped with the information I was given. I did come in and ask. So that was like the third, this will get you, but it'll take longer, is what I was told by the person that gave me that paper. They said, and we'd already contacted police, code enforcement, and we're planning on this meeting.
You know, when you initiated the
Oh boy, we had cars towed 6 months ago, but the complaint with Officer Eustace has probably been about 2 months. I can give you, I'd have to look back on my phone and I can.
right? We haven't had a code enforcement officer since the middle of May.
Yeah, well, she did they had broken down cars on city property. And she helped take care of that. So that was part of the ongoing, and would you address, please, the property too? And they got the cars towed out. They moved more in and now that one's been towed, but not the property itself. So maybe we can go back to that date and.
And I had contacted the code enforcement probably a year ago to begin with.
Yeah, this has been on.
It's like, it's just, it's awful to live next to that kind of trash. It just is.
I cry when I drive home. I cry. I come up over the hill. I was gone for a week and I cry because nothing was done. And I don't want to get emotional like that, but it's horrible. So yeah.
So unfortunately, the process was muffled a little bit, somebody gave me some wrong information, but now you have officially started that process and it will be, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. I just don't want to get dropped and lost in it.
People literally leaving their property and cleaning it up.
Yeah, and not just some of it, like the old hot tub that's been there for 20 years, it's broken down with a ripped tarp and tires on top. Okay, we let that go, but then when all the other garbage came in, so all of that needs to go, not just part of it. And that's what my concern is, that part of it will go and the rest will stay, whether it be on her side or my side.
And the sob stories from this lady seemed to take precedence. Someone that gets to the point where they just don't want to deal with it, because they get tired of listening to this. We're hoping that there's a time frame that we can hopefully see this taking.
By the pictures, it looks like they could have a lot of it cleaned up for free, just through scrap metal guys. I mean, just from the pictures.
That's what I said, I can do it in 24 hours.
Yes.
I could have it done.
I know she could.
And a dumpster and it could be done. And I'll pay for it and you can reimburse me.
And I can help.
That's where we're at right now. We're like there. But whatever,
Yeah.
you do it and it would be done. So.
Unfortunately, we can't say do it. but,
Offer.
And we appreciate you listening.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's better already. We have ears.
You started the process, so you're, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the pride in our,
She's got your,
Thank you.
thanks for taking the pride in our city and in your neighborhood.
yes.
Yes, there's a lot of good things, but
The city it's growing and the wonderful things you have going only means it's gonna grow better and faster and we don't wanna live like that.
Okay, thank you again. Any other visitor comments? If you'd like to come up, state your name for the record, 5 minutes or less. Do we have anybody on Zoom? You on Zoom? Okay, so let's go on to our, the first item is semi-annual report, semi-annual senior center report. Justin Watson, we met.
Yes, hello. How's it going?
Good, how are you, Justin?
Well, thank you. Thank you. All right. The administrator, city mayor, council president, council, thanks for having me today. So again, I'm Justin Watson. I'm the new executive director at the St. Helens Senior Center. And we just have a short presentation for you today. That is our semi-annual report. So Kathy's retired and I am settling in well. There's been a number of things that we've had to work on since I've taken over. So just wanted to mention that we are, we could go to the next slide. We are fully open and masks are suggested if they like, but we're fully open to the public and people were asking me to come right on in. To let you guys know that we're working with a number of partners to include the Chamber, Grocery Outlet, and Broadleaf Arbor. We're in a cohort with them to include Engage. So we'll really be working together to inspire an all ages community model, or commonly known as intergenerational living. And at the center right now, we have over 150 members. We're attempting to bridge that gap locally to have families of all makes take part in our center. So, you know, homework groups and projects, and ultimately hoping to increase our memberships. So
How much is membership?
our memberships, we have members and we have associate members. The difference is our members are seniors and they make they're voting members and they make the rules of the organization. And then that is $20 a year. Same with associate members. So those are folks that are not seniors, they're under 55, but they can still take part in the senior center and become members. And for 2 people living in the same home, it's $32 a year. And all these prices are a year. So some of the things they gain is they get to support the communities, the senior center. They gain a sense of investment in their local community. They get access to all the activities in the building and the monthly newsletter. And we're also looking into alternatives, membership frames and models, such as lifetime membership concepts. So yeah. And I just wanted to mention that we can be like an alternative or an extra facility other than like what we already offer in the city. So if people want to get a change of scenery, or if there's a need for drug and alcohol-free facility uses, that can be us. So moving on, one of the best quotes to sum up what I've heard recently is young people have missed out on so much intellectual wisdom because of the social divide between young folks, families, and elders. So we're really trying to figure out how to fix that. So we have what we consider a working board. So a lot of our board members work, and we have over 80 volunteers between the center and Top Notch. So what we've done is we decided to work with United Way of Columbia County to kind of help get a framework or a database of volunteers, so that we are all helping each other as nonprofits or folks that are doing this same work. We have a number of activities We have like finances 101 courses, we have computers 101 courses and Tai Chi. So we're asking folks to come out and take part of that. We had a block party that was really phenomenal. We learned a lot of things. So for next year, we'll take that. And then again, we're doing lunches daily. So with reservations, we presently ask you to make a reservation, but it's not mandatory. If you give us a call in the morning, it just helps us know how much to make every day. So again, it's not mandatory, but you can make a reservation if you like. So the next slide, so that's just our lobby area with our little shopette. That's where folks come in. And that's our library, and they also do puzzles in that room there. All right, so the SNAP program is our primary objective. It's the Senior Nutrition and Pleasure Program. Sometimes it gets confused with like food stamps. That's not what we're offering there. It's the Senior Nutrition and Pleasure Program. So this is what our primary objective is, and we offer well-balanced meals and service for some seniors in the community. That'll be their only meal or interaction throughout the day. So we really strive to give that companionship, as it says here, and social affirmations. That's really important, especially as folks get older and there's more instances of isolation and social repetition that's really becomes a thing. So just giving folks that affirmation that we're here and you're not alone, and that keeps them going. So that keeps their mind going, which is good for seniors. So we want to be able to foster a place where all conversations are appropriately heard. So St. Helens is a super diverse community, and so we just want to be there for everyone. So we serve active elders, but we also serve people that may not be able to, take care of themselves. So we just really want to be seen as a community asset there at the senior center. So community resources and every aspect, we're always putting that lens through like the senior center, who is our stakeholder. So we just want you guys to know that we offer meals to seniors 55 and over. So that's a suggested price of $5. It's not mandatory. So contrary to serving younger seniors under the 55, they are asked to pay $8 a meal. So though many of the seniors donate what they can to cover the cost of their meal, it's not the case with every senior, especially with the home delivered meals program. So we're dedicated to serve each senior as equally as we can. So that's what the work we're doing down there. So with over 180 seniors that we're serving and we're growing, Community Action Team is our agency holder. And they are sending us consumers regularly now. We were told about this just about 3 months ago that the state had a massive need for more consumers to be serviced, and it was going to be like a 50 people dump, and that is coming in, it's live. So there's a definite need for more volunteer drivers, and we're just looking for ways to fortify that program in a number of ways. So this is the volunteers packing the meals to go out for the day. And that is Deborah Parsons. She is a board member. Again, we have a working board, so they're really involved. But that is part of the process of packing the meals, sealing the meals, and sending them out. And those trays, maybe you've seen them on the financials, but we just got that order, just about $16,000 worth of delivery packaging there. So those will go out here real soon. We'll see. We'll take another picture and show you how depleted that stock is. So the head cook, he is hanging in there well. I'm learning a lot about the facility and about the staffing, and there's been some turnover in that head cook in the past, but he is hanging in there. He's a little older, but we're giving him the support, and he's really knowledgeable. He's a military guy, so we're letting him really take control of the kitchen and really train the other two that we have. I've kind of evolved the positions there, other than having an assistant cook and then a dishwasher. We are gonna model a little bit more off of like the rehabilitation or the nursing care homes, living facilities. So we have a dietary assistant cook, a dietary aide, and a kitchen aide. So it's about a mix. Both of them will be able to cook and do dishes or, service the kitchen. So better use of things. So as of right now, the current crew is stable, and we do look forward to, staying solid for a while here. We are looking at, we have started a new ghost kitchen. There's a need for that delivery ghost, style kitchen system to be in St. Helens, offering delivery to folks' home. So I did write a grant to CRPUD to see if we can get an economic development grant. If you'd like to know more about that, I can give you more about that, but.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with what a ghost kitchen is.
So during the pandemic, delivery and online ordering just skyrocketed. So the market kind of changed a little bit with a lot of the restaurants closing and such. And so a lot of times these delivery drivers coming from Uber Eats or DoorDash or wherever have you, they're going to warehouses that have been remodeled to be commercial kitchens, or they're going to restaurants or commissaries or other places that are running up to 33 different concepts in some cases, all out of that one place off that one tablet.
Wow.
So we're starting with to make better use of the asset because we're done there. We're open from 8 to 2 for our SNAP programs, but the building is still, we have our activities and there's other uses that the building can be used for with that amazing asset again you guys did there, especially in 2010 with the block grant.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be using the kitchen portion from 3 to 9 to do the ghost kitchen deliveries, and we have one concept right now that is hot dogs, which is already pretty popular in the area. And lots of folks love that. And we're trying to make it affordable. So it's affordable for us and for the consumer, because again, we're looking at it through the lens of seniors. So when we're not able to give dinner because we do lunch, maybe our seniors, because we'll be putting flyers in their home delivered bags meals, maybe they can know to go on the Toast app or the DoorDash app and order some dinner for the night. Yeah. So, but also there's maybe an opportunity to service Scappoose because they have a really live bingo night and they don't have food service right now. And so we could possibly bridge that gap there as well. So we're just looking to be as collaborative as we can and really fortify around the senior center so that we can take care of things primarily for the SNAP program. And then to make sure the asset will take care of it. Yeah, thank you.
I was going to. Also,
Yeah.
you did.
Absolutely. So staffing via paid staff or volunteer staff is stagnant. I touched that a little bit. As many people are experiencing probably in the city or in the industry. So we're looking for better incentives or norms for the volunteers and for the employees to establish an era of commitment and longevity. So this is our congregate meals starting. This is about 10 a.m. So it starts at 11 or at 12, sorry. The place will be full and that's on Fridays. But we have the Stone River band that comes in and supports the senior center. The story about them is really amazing. Their father's band played for the senior center since the senior center opened. Then their father got a little bit older in age, but he played in the Stone River band, which is his son's band, Tim. And now Tim, as his father has passed away, Tim and his band are continuing that legacy all for free. And they pay for lunch as well, which is amazing every Friday. And there's 6 of them. They're continuing that legacy and providing some entertainment for the seniors. So yeah, just love that, those guys. Again, this is our working board, some of our working board, volunteers, our head cook in there. That's just Jerry Marquette. He just became a board member. He is an amazing man and he's on CERT and he's a military man.
Navy guy.
Navy guy, yeah. So we're capturing some of that intellectual wisdom, but also Joe, he was a longtime truck driver and yeah. So yeah, this just kind of goes into that companionship and that socialization factor that we provide there at the center for all walks of life. You know, these guys would talk about all kinds of things. So it's a little more socialization and some exercise. We do have an exercise group that meets on that dance floor every week. And once a week, every week, and they fill it up. It's really full. And they watch the TV and yeah, but. And then now we're gonna start to touch on Top Notch and here we go. So the senior center started Top Notch Thrift Store in 2009. It was specifically to benefit the operations at the senior centers, notably the SNAP program. So the thrift store was much smaller in the past, but Kathy and volunteers, about 16. Kathy's been volunteering for a long time. So a long time ago, they helped procure and move Top Notch into what it really is today. And, you know, I just really have to give ode to those original volunteers that helped open Top Notch and are still there, keeping it going. And then also Kathy, just, you know, the name, when I first came here, I said the name is really something because the process, if any of you guys want to take a tour one day, the process that they use really makes it a top-notch thrift store. So I really see it as a viable asset in the community coming up here really soon. So we have had a little bit of turnover maybe than what you guys are familiar to in the management there. So there is a new manager as of the first of this month. Her name is Melissa Watson, and there's no relation. So just amazes me that of the same line. Yeah, there's no relation. So she's very knowledgeable and we think that she'll be doing a good job there at the Top Notch. So yep, there's a slight increase in sales, but with the mandatory minimum wage and some other incentives with the management build out that was short-lived, that was being consumed, as you may ask in the financials a little later. So we're looking at that and how to fix and remedy some of those things with Top Notch. We're working with Main Street Alliance. We've met with them. We decided they need 2 scarecrows in front of Top Notch. And your suggestion of when we met to have a senior center scarecrow was well received by the senior center and Top Notch. So there was maybe some talk about donating the spot for the youth. But Top Notch thinks they want to work with the Senior Center Crafts Group, Wendy Rude, and work with Top Notch and get a scarecrow for Top Notch and Senior Center in those 2 holes there. So we do have a pretty solid crew over there. We are looking for a shift leader and we're looking for a full-time cashier. So there's going to be new signage and logos. And there's also going to be a new POS system to get things caught up with the standard of the industry. So we're looking to see that this is going to be, you know, a well investment for the future. We think it's going to work. So
Amazing how new POS systems can get outdated so quickly too.
yes, yeah. Right now we're using old tape, so
That's really old.
yeah, yeah. And it'll also do dual purpose because it'll be able to help us log our volunteer hours and log our staff hours instead of doing that manually as well. Thank you. Wanted to cover some building uses for you guys. So we have organizations that use the facility asset such as AARP for safe driving courses, and Red Cross holds reoccurring blood drives. They had one yesterday. They have already got one going for next month. The VFW Auxiliary Group, the business leaders, those groups meet there monthly as well. We have a number of Medicare representatives that constantly coordinate with their constituents and meet at the center, and they also go through our newsletter or different ways of getting their word out that they are going to be there. So that is a constant use. We also, for the center itself, we had a block party, which I mentioned, and we're going to be having a car show and a chili bake. And so we're going to be making the chili. We were going to have a chili cook-off, but just to make things more safe for all of us, we're going to do it under our own food handlers card. And so be looking for a number of other events to help and, you know, instill some energy into and some finances into the senior center. our mission it's a mission of ours and it's a stated goal of ours to be a cooling and a warming shelter. So, we've been working with Rachel Berry to work with the library and other city assets to make sure that we're coordinating with our stakeholders properly, so they know that those, opportunities are there. Again, the building maintenance is going really well. I am maintenance inclined, so I'm able to handle a couple more things than maybe previously. We'll see, but I'm going to say that we do love the little scores. There was a recent, debacle about our kitchen air conditioner that we thought was going to take us out. And we got a couple more bids by the amazing suggestion of the city administrator, and we got the problem fixed. So we're gonna be putting that model in more often, getting a number of bids and making sure we thoroughly vet the issues before we even come to the city and see if we can handle them on our own. And then just wanted to give some ode and thanks to Public Works and Roger. We were having some issue with the landscaping around the outside border of the senior center. And those guys came in and they are some earth movers and they flattened it all out, made it look really presentable. So now, if Public Works is a little overwhelmed, even we can take a lawnmower to it here in the future and make sure it looks good for the city and for the neighborhood and for ourselves, our events. So it's going to be a really good and long-term maintenance. And just again, thank you. And just because of what was said a little bit earlier, I just wanted to say, when the city has the means to do something, they act swiftly and they act really timely and they do a really great job. And it's been exemplary ever since I've taken over at the senior center. So thank you guys for that. So as we continue to grow, we'll find more unique and consistent ways to keep that building in good use and repair. Right, so we were awarded the DHS State of Oregon $25,000 congregate infrastructure grant. So with that grant, again, I can go through a number of the strategies that we're going to use to upgrade the infrastructure for our home delivered meals program and our congregate meals program with that $25,000 there. We are also, the board approved a full stake investment to become owners, and you may have heard about it, but in the Willamette Valley Vineyards preferred stock. And we did get in at a timely manner, so we got the lower portion. And again, it's at a 4.36% guaranteed annual dividend. So we're looking for that to help, again, support the senior center and operations of what we're trying to do. Because when we write grants, normally a lot of grants are only for projects that you either need or that you can kind of come up with that you may need. And you have to piece those together and use that finance only for those grants, financing only for those projects. So we're looking for other ways just to keep the liquidities assets liquid. So we have the ghost kitchen as well. We're going to be doing an online auction. We've procured a number of auction items, so be looking for that soon. Follow our newsletter. We'll be releasing the link soon so you can see some of that stuff. And then, of course, the building rentals and activities. Some things I'd like to see is how we can use the building to amplify what the city would like to see all around the culture and the city, and maybe a list of prices for the rooms. I know that we have for the kitchen, a building use agreement, and we've kind of been using it, but it doesn't really make sense for like some of the smaller rooms to use that same model to rent out the other building. So if there's some suggestion there where you guys could look at the rooms and offer a price, we can solidify that, put it on paper, that'd be great. But we'll be continuing to source other sources of income, and we'll be remembering we're a nonprofit. We offer a benevolent service. We primarily do run on donations. Grants have been furthered, and I'm furthering that myself. And so we're gonna build out a self-sustaining model, remembering that we are gonna primarily be serving seniors that are vulnerable. So I just wanted to ask for not only the council, but also for the city members that may be listening, Now, what day and what year will it be that you may need to rely on the St. Helens Senior Center Incorporated? Thank you. And this is our menu. So just a little sneak preview for the ghost kitchen. And if you guys have any questions, I'm willing to answer those questions.
I have a comment, and I just want to thank you for thanking Public Works
Absolutely.
and what they do for our city. And I think you elegantly just gave us a very sincere thanks. And the way I think our council sees it, it's pretty much eye to eye with what you said. And we agree wholeheartedly. We're proud of our Public Works people and what they do for our city. And it's thank you for that report. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I've let my membership lapse, so I better, they're involved, yeah. And my wife was an employee at Top Notch for a good 8 years, I think, or so, until she went to other endeavors. And yeah, that's always been a good feature about Top Notch, is that we strive to be top.
Yeah.
So I'm
Thank you.
glad that continues.
Well, you mentioned the library. Are you working with the city library or are you all by yourself?
So thank you for asking that. On the 20th of this month, Mrs. Bishop and I have a meeting together. We're gonna have lunch at the senior center. And we're gonna meet for the first time, and Rachel Berry will be brokering that meeting. So we are going to be working together in the near future. That is the hope and the wish and the goal.
And the other question, I assume you're getting some of your food from the food bank.
Yes, sir. Yes, we are getting food from the food bank, and every month we're looking at our menu, and we're saying, what can we not purchase that we can get from the food bank this month, so we don't have to purchase it. And so, yes, we're making some adjustments there as well.
Now, the food bank has been kind of set back because they expected a larger kitchen for training people to cook. Are you thinking of talking with the food bank about training people how to cook using their facilities, or has that come on top of the pile yet?
That has not come on top of the pile yet. With the food bank, I can tell you that with Broadleaf Arbor, they are building a kitchen, and their goal is to have trainings, food cook trainings there. And I believe it's going to be located in the senior buildings. So I'm part of that cohort, so I'll be brokering that within there for them. No.
Yeah, the Broadleaf, we are hoping to citizens, in learning what that project's about, that at least half or better of people that move into that new place will be already located in St. Helens, and that we know people don't like moving.
Yes.
So we get that, but we need to really emphasize on our seniors that this is a brand new place in a new community building that we'd really love to see, at least half locals in there, and not from out of the area. So, and I do know Nina fairly well too, Reed. But I want to be an associate member.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I put my name and address here for you, and I also put grants for us for January 1st.
Okay.
Typically, we only see about 1,000 is tops to because we're spread thin.
Got it.
But I put that on the bottom of this for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's cheap. $20 is more people. If you get the word out, campaign that,
Yeah.
just to be a part of.
Mm.
You guys play pinochle there?
We do play pinochle there Monday at 4.
You know, I'm an associate,
Where you can come on down.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
awesome. I will grab that. I will grab that from you now.
I'm just disappointed, man. I thought you were gonna you were offering my microphone there. No, I'm going.
Thank you.
yeah. I do have it there, and, yeah, that's a lot of-
I will take care of
we typically are spread thin, so, but
Perfect. Okay.
we want to keep it. We didn't have it here before January, right? Kathy, we will submit that too. We'll put something out with that too.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, good work. Yeah, it's neat to hear that ghost kitchen concept and you're really taking a feeling, trying to feel out your way out of and see what will work and what, yeah, that's something that might take off, so. Yeah,
So I heard you say something about Meals on Wheels and the shortage of drivers. I'm not gonna say that Monday week, but you're taking on a bunch of, you need more drivers as well.
So the routes are getting bigger, the routes are getting much bigger, so we're, adding folks to the routes and then drivers are showing up and. There are some differences, there's not, the same driver every day. And so we may say, hey, we've got, 3 to 5 more people on your route today, is that okay? And Cassie's doing good now that we're getting them a little earlier so she can call them. But some folks may not be able, some of our volunteer drivers are seniors, so they may not be able to carry much more as the routes get larger. So,
I've worked that for some time, and it's such an enriching experience to be able to do that as you're driving the routes and meeting the people who are in need
yeah,
of that program. And I just would like to encourage everyone to maybe step forward and get involved, and if nothing else, riding along and helping out with someone who's already volunteering. It's the way I kind of learned. Stan Quixote took me around and then introduced me to routes and that kind of thing. One of the things I had problem with, however, was keeping a weekday kind of routine with my schedule and that schedule.
right.
In January, that's all going to change.
Yes.
So I can, I could probably commit a day to work with that program. It's dear to me. And I'd like to put me down on the wait list until 2023. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
My commitment with the city council will be behind me at that time, and I'll open up new opportunities to involve myself in further in volunteer groups like what you're explaining.
I understand, thank you.
Okay, so put my name down.
I did, Doug Mortensen.
Yeah, okay,
Okay,
January 1st.
January 1st. That's
Pick
perfect.
a day. I'll come by earlier and we'll see what you have in terms of a route or whatever. Okay,
Deal.
thank you.
Now, when your Meals for Wheels characters, do they report back if some of these people need help?
Yes, and so that is the amazing part about the home delivered meals is that this may be the only time that they see someone in that day. That may be the only interaction. But also our drivers start to learn the individual's consumers and they give us a report. And we're able to give that report to community action team. And sometimes there's been folks that have been found deceased. There's some folks that have been found covered in feces and just not there. There's a number of things that have been found by our wonderful drivers that give a dignified report back to our meals coordinator. And community action teams able to work with the state and make moves to make sure everyone in the community is being taken care of properly. And so it's really a great dynamic. And thank you for asking that, because we can see the evolution with some folks and catch things before they get too bad.
Well, you got an extensive background and it shows, and good job on the report, and yeah. Look forward to working with you in the future. So thank you, Justin.
You're welcome. Absolutely. All right. Okay.
Yeah, you too.
How old do you have to be a member?
So it could be any age. So you can be a member or you can be an associate member. And those that are 55 and older are the ones that make the voting decisions of the organization. And those younger are just associate members that take part in the center.
I'm associate, just so everybody knows.
Yeah. He's an associate. Being supported in the community.
Take care.
You too.
Well, I'll make a deal with you, Mayor. I'll change my age to a little younger and you can go.
All right, our next item on the agenda is review proposed rate increase for waste management services.
All right, the exciting business of rate increases for drop boxes and as you've been around the council for any amount of time, you've seen these come through as part of our franchise agreement with not since the curbside, but waste management, the construction, the big boxes that get dropped off. For construction projects and people moving and that kind of thing. The language in our franchise agreement ties it to a maximum rate increase of 1.5%. And it ties to an index that's related to that industry, which was about 4.73%. And they're asking for their maximum increase of 1.5%. So it's
Not a surprise.
one of the years that keep rates low and they have to acknowledge in there, but effective date is October 1st. And there's a letter and packet along with the billing schedule, which talks about the rates and needs to the new rates.
We'll be open up to public comment, right? That's why we're
And then,
discussing it too.
yeah, anytime we have a rate
Yeah.
increase, we public gets an opportunity to comment.
Just as a reminder, in your past years, serving the city, has this been a maximum rate every year by chance in your memory by chance?
I can't say that with any confidence.
I kind of didn't expect that because it is an unfair question. But it's something that we might want to consider and looking at that. Our agreement is, our minimum agreement is 0.5%, is that correct? Okay,
Or not less than 1.5%.
Yeah.
So if inflation is less than,
exactly. Okay.
it would be less.
But inflation was more than that.
Yeah. I kind of think that the public, our citizens should know that an option for people to use at their discretion. And it isn't something that is going to raise their cost of living. If they can use it if they want, and if they don't choose to, they don't have to.
Mainly it's contractors who use the big
Exactly.
boxes.
That's why I want to make the distinction between the more ubiquitous curbside. That's
Yes, it's different.
Exactly.
This is way different, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, reviews proposed amendments to city council operating rules and procedures.
Can I make a comment right now? I think that ought to be dropped because we're having an election and in a few months we'll have another council. I think the new council ought to set up the rules. Some of these rules are going over them or step on themselves and step on the charter rules. But I think that particular amendment should probably be done with a new council.
Well, hold it now. Just before you get going, there's some wisdom on this council. I feel. And I
You know,
think,
I'm not arguing that. I'm just,
well, yes, you are, because you're saying that we should wait on this. And I feel that some of the wisdom on the council is needed to move forward. And once the new council is intact, then they can take it upon themselves to bring this up again. I hope I'm clear that to me, I think that that's very important to work with the wisdom that we have now on the council and the experience we have now to give direction and continue the endeavors of council work. I really feel strong about that.
there's about 15 conflicts between what is on here and the charter.
Yes.
Go over it.
This went from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock with the work session time.
No, I'm talking about theoretically, the council is the legal responsible for the city, and yet the city administrator has a huge amount of authority over the council when you look at these rules.
Over
So-
Over the council.
Over city operations.
No, this is over the council when you look at the wording.
I disagree with
So-
that. I think over operations.
No, I'm saying when you look at the exact words, it's over the council's action. I agree that they should be over the city's operation. That's not a question. It's the way it's written here. It's over the council's action.
You were part of this process.
I know, that's why
We wrote this.
I'm bringing it up.
Well, no, you were part of the decision making on this.
Yep. And that's why I'm changing my mind now.
Now, a long time ago, because of the, it makes it his job easier to run the day-to-day operations.
But this is
And
over.
that was the reason the council, the entire council adopted these rules.
That's right.
Now we're talking about changing times and I'm gonna just let somebody else come from Berkeley.
Well, I want to thank you, Councilor Topaz. We're considering the amendments, but it sounds like what you are questioning the entire, or the entire.
Certain sections
that
of
are not being.
it, certain sections of it, not all of it.
But okay, but certain sections,
Yeah.
but not the, so I think. I mean, that if the tonight, would be voting on the amendments, the issue that you raise about the whole structure or model.
I didn't say the whole structure, I said sections of it.
I apologize for being imprecise, for changing those things, and that's certainly something that the new council would legitimately discuss, but I think for purposes of tonight, we are simply changing the time, and there looks like some verbiage changes, pronoun changes that there's no reason not to proceed with. the amendment.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go to Counselor Chilton. I see she's got her hand up.
So my question was just, it kind of goes off what Counselor Berkeley was just saying, but why are we discussing this right now? Is it there a time sensitive matter? Why is it coming up now is my question.
We had a discussion, probably when you were gone about this. It works better for Counselor Berkeley and I. We thought that we should be able to get our work session done within 3 hours. There should be no reason for us to be longer than 3 hours. And we're gonna try to see about starting our work sessions at 2. And just kind of shortening up the day, and it works better for me too as well, because I do a little bit of work done actually in the morning. So
Yeah, and then Councilor Chilton, I initiated that too, because with the I'm working again, I'll be working again full-time at school. And unlike last year, I am not able to make arrangements for someone to cover my class at the end of the day, so that I would not be able to attend meetings probably any earlier than 1:40, 1:45. So I initially raised this question with the mayor and with city administrator to accommodate, to accommodate me. I hate walking in late on the days that I did come walking in late, even though it was just a few minutes. And then also, as the mayor said, if we run our meetings more efficiently and do things that we should be able to accomplish our work in shorter time, but it did kind of come from my initiative because of my inability to end at 1 o'clock any longer.
And Councilor Chilton, as well, for myself, this comes 16 years too late. It does, and it would allow me to continue my teaching responsibilities on Wednesday in the morning, which I couldn't make it back for the 1 o'clock, but I would be able to make it back for the 2 o'clock. It just makes a lot of sense to me, and I appreciate with that, the explanation that the mayor and, Patrick has given and shed light on it. But I wanted to give my piece as well. I hope it works for you.
So could you just, obviously, I'm a little preoccupied these days right now, but could we just go over again for the record what the times and changes would be exactly?
The only thing that would change would be the work session from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. We think that we can make everything else work in between like we normally would. If it didn't and we seen there was an issue, we may possibly bump up the evening session to 7:30 if it became an issue, but we feel. In the discussion, while you were gone, that we could actually accomplish. Any public hearings in our work session, in our regular session, and with our work session starting at 2. So that would be the only meeting that changed.
There's other
There's a
changes.
couple changes, other changes, yeah. There's the pronouns, taking just to the he's and hims to, getting rid of all that, that's. Shouldn't be controversial, I hope, the 5 minutes to 3 minutes on
Public
floors
hearings.
there, and. This last one.
There's,
Electronic communication, the Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Hybrid meeting option.
Unfortunately, there's some definitions that are squirrely. It says on section 3(1)(b), 24 hours. In a weekend, that means nobody gets to react. Other things having to do with emergencies, clock time should be involved. Things having to do with executive meetings as far as, and it's section 3(1)(h), having to do with who's invited or going to be allowed in executive meetings. That should be 24 hours before the meeting. There's a number of pieces of this that, as you go through it, who can put things on the agenda does not fit with what the charter says. If you have the two documents, you've got a problem there. And that's why I think this should be redone with the new council, so everybody is on the same page, because we've got a lot of bad habits. For instance, I was required to have 3 council members to put something on the agenda. 3 council members makes a quorum, which is illegal ahead of time, but that was what was put on. There are, as they say, details as you go through this. Some of these things, we also have the ability, we said 5 to 3 minutes, but if president and the council agreed to, we could extend that time. The fact that these 2 statements from different parts of the document makes it awful confusing. Things like that I'm more worried about.
Yeah, and I think that we need back up on 3 people to put something on the agenda. 3 people, if there's a problem with the mayor and the our city administrator and our recorder, allowing that to go onto the agenda, then 3 people on the council can get together and make a decision whether that goes on or not at that time. And you do that by phone, you can do it by any way. It's kind of impromptu if that should go forward. That's what
That's not correct. That's not correct. You bring it to a council meeting, the council meeting before, you say you have an idea, you propose it in your council report of what you would like, put on the next agenda, and then as a council, we would decide if with a yay nay vote, because you're proposing it, if somebody makes a second, then that's power. That's I'm a weak mayor form of government, and I kind of see where you're going with this a little bit. But that's the proper channel of doing this, and the 3-minute is not uncommon that you have 3 minutes.
I'm not worried about it.
So thinking more of an emergency kind of issue. which a council would want to, which a
Well-
counselor would want to bring forward.
An emergency, we would just declare an emergency meeting to Kathy, make the proper notice, and it can be very short and fast, and then we can go through that process.
As long as that's covered.
Yes, that is covered.
But some of the things that runs over the top of what
We
the
did that
charter
in
says.
COVID, if you don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
recall.
But some of what we did was good, but it's not reflected on what the paper says we should do. That's my point.
So as the counselors, we are asked to read our city charter and our operating rules and procedures. So when they would personally meet, we should go ahead and make the changes so we can operate our meetings the way we discussed. And that if they have issues with it, then they can bring it to the council and we can address it then.
Well, according to the way it's written, John Walsh, administrator, can affect the agenda.
Should we help set the agenda?
No, it says, again, back to words, he can set the agenda.
He helps set.
No, other places it does say that. I'm not,
So, again, Counselor Topaz, I'm not disagreeing that we can look at those issues for some of these changes. I think the focus of what we are talking about are the sections, the proposed changes in red. I don't know if you have that. We're voting on changing that tonight. And then it is certainly legitimate, as I heard Councilor Morton and the mayor say, that should the new council members wish to take that up once they're on board to talk about it, certainly legitimate. But for today's purpose, it is simply talking about these proposed amendments. We want to change the whole, not the whole thing, but other major parts that's certainly legitimate for the new council to take up. But tonight, it's just these small changes.
in other words, the only effect they technically have is for what, 8 meetings?
Well, we'll set the, no, but I mean, in November, we will be, right, or November, December, we set the, when is that, Kathy, that we would set for 2023, when do we usually?
Yeah, in December.
In December. So I mean, we would effectively, in December, probably adopt this unless, and it could be changed. I mean, I would say when I was elected, and I suppose Councilor Chilton the same, I had kind of anticipated, because I hadn't looked as closely as I might have at the operating rules and things, assuming that once we were sworn in, that we would make the decisions about when and where, or the times, the days and times the council would meet. But then after the election and between the swearing in, I saw, okay, on the agenda that the council, as it was then composed, set the agenda for the next year. And it's just what you have done these last few years, that have proposals in December of each year. So I'm saying functionally, yes, it's these last months of this year. But unless we change, come up with all kinds of changes by December, we could change that again. But if you're saying we would like the new council members to have a voice in that, I would say we go ahead, approve the amendments tonight. Probably in December, we would publish the calendar for next year, and then if it needs to be amended, going through the amendment process with the new council members.
Because right now, these rules and what the charters say are in contradiction in a number of places. And theoretically, the charter is the rule.
So
Technically, they aren't, because the council always has the ultimate authority, and John works on the top of the council. He has, and we discussed this in, and I don't recall you being part of this, Councilor Berkeley, but the way it explained, we wanted it to work was that not everything had to come through a council meeting, because that's the way it was currently working at the time. And we wanted to make sure our city flowed and operated smoother and more efficient. So That's why we designed it to still be. The council does run the day-to-day, the hybrid liaison is what we call that, the hybrid liaison, where we're not over and he's over the day-to-day operations. And we gave him certain flexibilities on dollar amounts, to make calls that he didn't have to bring for approval on some little purchase.
And let it be known that that is our operating policy.
Yes.
It is as, it empowers the council to develop an operating policy, and that's what that is.
Yeah, unfortunately, the council is legally responsible for what the city does. The staff is not. The city staff can do a number of things, as you just explained, which could get us in trouble, and they have the authority to overrule.
That's anywhere. That's anywhere.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you this much, what I learned from, especially a talking point at the mayor's conference, is that if you're not doing things. And you're not getting sued, because I know where you're going with this, and it was in our seminar, if you're not getting sued, you're not running a city properly, because it's just gonna happen. It's inevitable. And you can ask that of any mayors and any city manager who runs day-to-day operations, that it does happen. I see where you're going with this. I see.
I'm worried about some other things.
And that was actually a talking point at my mayor's conference down in Newport.
Good,
Yes.
good. But as I said, we've got some
Mayor.
real problems of what the words say in both documents. And if it ever got to court, we'd really be in a confused.
I'd like us to move on.
Yeah, I agree. But that's why I think that should be pulled. That's my suggestion. We pull that and have the new council take care of the operating rules. So one, they were aware of the
Okay,
charter as well as this.
okay, we don't need to re-explain it, because we did a pretty thorough.
Okay, good.
We did do a pretty thorough explanation of what you thought and where we were going and what we're trying to decide. I think what I hear is the consensus of the council would like to move forward with this, and then the new council could revisit it, because they have all the power to do that. And any counselor has the power to do anything to propose to this entire council and get a second and a vote behind it. I just call the votes, that's it. And do a few other things.
So, not to belabor this point, but the charter. Charter is actually fairly silent on the council rules. And all it says is that council shall make its own rules. And what the charter is approved by people by a vote, and it can only be changed by people by a vote. And council rules are a living document, very fluid, change it for meeting. Recommend that.
Yeah.
But it's more of an internal thing, but if it's a, well, they shouldn't be in conflict with charter. Sure.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to our next one, is assign a voting delegate for the alternate for the League of Oregon City Business Meeting, which is coming up in October.
First 5, 6, 7 of October.
Yeah, yep.
7 meeting date.
Who wants to be the alternate? Who wants to be the voter? Who wants to show up and go down, it's breakfast, Lucy Doug used to do it, what is it, breakfast on Saturday that you do the?
Yeah, it's a damn good breakfast too. You gotta be there, right? A front row seat. Yeah, you hold up a paddle if you are voting for certain kinds of.
So are
issues.
you going, cause this would be like your last opportunity if you wanted to do it.
I appreciate that so much, and I am going to miss being there, but now's a good time to ask permission from the council to, I will be gone through the month of October for family and friends in Europe. And so I will be missing 2 council meetings, and
You're not going
this
to
is-
Ukraine, are you?
not quite that
Okay,
far.
I'm just checking.
Okay, but no, I am not, so.
Well, we always say it's family first around here. You know, the motto of the city is family first, so.
This has been organized for over a year and a half to 2 years. And so I looked at it in a long range that I'll be a short timer. And,
I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Like, kick it off?
You could kick me out
Well,
and assign the position to someone else. I thought about that. I was very-
Please, nobody else make any plans, so we at least have a phone for the other day.
I don't have to. That's.
You know, I mean, I could do it. It's usually what, 7 is the breakfast up? I mean, I'd love to get there. So it's at the league and you just come downstairs and then they,
What city?
oh, it's in Bend.
It's in Bend.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wonderful to attend. The breakout sessions are
Yes.
so effective and you can network and meet people from all over the state. It's a,
Councilor Berkeley, would you mind taking that?
So I did not sign up and register because I wasn't sure about with the whole school calendar thing. And October 7th is I was just gonna look at the school calendar. It might not be a work day, so I have to double check on it. If it's not a work day, I can let you know.
And you can sneak out Friday evening to
Yeah.
get there and participate all day Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's Saturday morning is the voting. right?
yeah, right. Friday afternoon and Friday evening is a good thing. It's all good.
And all we'd have to do is get you a hotel, just maybe right next to it, because I'm probably even late, because I didn't sign up. I think Riverbend filled up fast, you know, I think it's 30. So, would be the next hotel, which is,
Anywhere you stay.
yeah,
Jessica's going.
Jessica's going. Jessica?
Weren't you alternate last year? She could do it again.
You're alternate voter?
I think, weren't you? Or was she the voter? Weren't you?
She was the voter.
Counselor, you were the voter.
I was waiting for you guys to single
Hey,
me
sorry,
out.
yeah, let us make rules for
You're the
ourselves.
voter.
I will go. I'll do it. I'm already signed up and have my hotel reservation, so I will do it.
All right.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Challenge of it's virtual meetings and voting and made this just really long and arduous process and it's not typical, but
Yeah,
Oh, who's the alternate?
so we still,
I will be. I'll be the alternate. Just because we're in limbo. But Patrick, if you can even, you know, if it doesn't work out and you want to even try to hit Friday night, head over after work.
Yeah.
It's nice meeting all the senators and other counselors and stuff and sometimes lobbyists and you just never know who you're gonna meet there.
okay. I did pull up the calendar. It's interesting. That's oh no. Okay, maybe there's better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do the city administrator report.
things here. All right, well, for the last, feels like ad nauseum, I've been talking about this harbor master agreement. I finally have a draft and it's appears ready to go. We've been posting notices on boats down on the docks and they've been leaving promptly after they get noticed and a lot of good work going into that. So next meeting, we'll see this go. The way we're setting it up, it's a personal services agreement. Their intention here is to direct a point to work with most clearly qualified agency, St. Helens Marina. They'll do it at very little nominal cost, just to cover their expenses. And they'll be able to track the docks, issue tickets, notice the violation, and move things along. Throughout the year.
I already see one issue being kind of that could be a potential is how they will go out in areas and then bounce back though for a night or a half a night and they usually park right in the middle of where any big ships will come in. Particularly it's a green sailboat that's been lately been doing
I
it.
haven't been watching that one yet.
Yes, so I don't know how we're gonna go about addressing those type of issues when they're in and out so fast. But they're here, seems like always, but they're not. They're literally on the move. It's really difficult.
At least they leak sometimes.
Yes,
At a minimum, it's working to
yeah.
that effect.
But apparently they made a comment that, did you know that the only place in Homestead is even Homestead on the Goat Island, which is the King's Ranch?
Oh, yeah, I've been out
Yeah,
there.
the island part, they're actually homesteading on that.
Homestead.
It's not my monkey, that one, but you can pass by and see it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes,
Where's this?
right downriver.
Yeah, just north of Columbia City.
Christensen's property,
Yeah, the Deer Island.
Kim,
Yeah, Deer Island.
the island part of it.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
stop, just off the
The
stop.
Deer Island?
Yeah.
I just seen it with my own two eyes. I heard about it and actually me and my son were out trying to scout some surgeon. We went down that way and we seen, I seen it with my own two eyes. I was like, I couldn't believe it. They took one of those shacks, which were fishing shacks, and created multiple things around it. And, yeah.
The Marine Board,
City limits anyway.
have jurisdiction over that.
Yeah.
State Division of Lands as well, but is that in Washington
But-
or is it in Oregon?
But our concern is that, is the dock, and then, they come in and they have this boat loaded with everything and everything on it. And then they're either gonna get fuel or groceries. And then there's sometimes it just stays there overnight, but it does leave, but it seems like it doesn't. So that's gonna be one of those issues. I don't know how we,
There's gotta be a transient, so you can come on fuel and stay for an hour as compared to have to sign up for whatever. That's basically marine courtesy around the world.
I would expect that having more enforcement's not gonna make it worse. So,
Right.
not far, Sand Island, our campground on Sand Island, the city of some time ago authorized the construction of 6 cabins and 2 24 by 36 foot shelters that they were gonna build. And that's all going along. A lot of it's been on the campground to get their information to the city to be able to get those permitted to get constructed. That's very close, if not out the door already. They're approaching wanting to make some other, they want to go over and have more amenities for their people over there. They want to drill a well. They want to put in a septic system to assist with the toilets and have a shower and bathrooms over there. And there's a owner sign off with that piece. First of all, is the council acceptable with that? Does it sound like you're something you want to, place you want to go? Excuse me. And then there's, in order to do a septic permit, the landowner has to, even the investigation has to sign off on it. That was my question for you today.
If they drill a well, what requirements does the well have for them to use it? Can you use it for potable water, or it's terrible water, but you could use it for flushing? Who gives the okay?
How would it be
to
terrible water? It's probably one of the best filtering systems there
Yeah,
is.
we-
With the sand filter.
I know that, but I want to say, someone's gotta say it's good water. I mean, if you drill a well here in town, isn't it the state that,
Yeah, it'd either be a potable or non-potable source. They'd have to achieve those,
and who,
whatever the technology
says
is,
that?
whether it's UV or whether it's chlorination or combination of things or.
Division of State Lands, I would imagine would have a say in it.
The county does their.
County does.
okay, so there is a agency that says, okay, it's a good well.
It's in the-
Okay.
I have one concern. And the concern is that Mr. Henderson is putting the bill for this. When the lease sunsets, when it is no longer valid. And I think it was for 15 years at the first, was it not, or 20?
It was 10 or 15.
Okay.
Renews.
Okay, and now, of course, it can be renewed. But when it does succeed, And the ownership, I know that we talked about this, that I don't know if it's in writing or not. We, the city of St. Helens, assumes the ownership of that well, of these structures, of those kinds of items. How is that? How
I think it
is,
was worded that because we knew he was gonna invest, if I recall, we could dig it up, but I'm 90% sure that it read in there that we would have to reimburse the cost of that to Mr. Henderson.
The improvements.
Yes,
Defined as improvements, yes,
Yes.
that is correct.
yeah,
If the city were to take it back, we would be paying some portion of those.
yeah.
I wanted our public to know that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you shedding the light.
The reason what seems like a fairly simple question to the council is why I
So.
want you to answer it.
So now that came up, though, the citizens also need to understand we're spending about 30 grand over there cleaning up garbage and mowing it. Prior to turning it over to Mr. Henderson, and now it's in much better shape. And it's zero tax dollars. And actually, we get a tiny bit of revenue from the tent site, which will probably be offset if we hire him to do our management of the river, which is a win-win, pretty close. So maybe still makes money.
I'll piggyback on that. Safety, a huge issue. Security, a huge issue that Mr. Henderson has been very effective in enforcing. I think that it's a win-win. And then the thing that you didn't go over, you did say $30,000 but it was the staff time that had to man the barge, go over there, pull garbage off of the island on a weekly basis. And after holidays, maybe make 3 trips on that barge to haul the amount of garbage after holidays. And the island was a mess, full of needles, full of all kinds of things. And no longer is that the case.
Yeah, Patrick, I heard you over there.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was looking up the, so the septic system. It happened in the big flood, 97, Sand Island was inundated, so it is a septic system susceptible to if there were a flood event of unleashing.
Potentially, yeah, there's tanks that could float. You know, there would be some considerations for that, much like they do with fuel tanks where they
That stuff
ballast
is,
them down and offset the weight.
but there be means of having insurance to avoid liability of, people will say, hey, we got containers of what floating down because the city of St. Helens had a septic system on the island.
Well, I'm just gonna say, they say don't swim in the Willamette every time they have a major storm event because Portland has pushed more down to us.
So it's just something I
We're
wanna.
constantly getting, what on.
So I'm all been very supportive of just the, improvements that there has been advantages to the city in terms of maintenance and safety and that sort of thing. But then I just wanna,
So you're for it too, kinda?
It would have to be engineered, of course. The other thing you haven't brought up is the people who go over there, they happen to have of stopping off at the local grocery stores and whatever to get supplies, so. But we're not wasting money having our crews clean it up. We've got people coming there, which they didn't before, spending money in other places. It's a go operation, there's no go around.
So I think you have a census, it sounds like. Councilor Shelton, do you want to add anything?
I didn't have anything, no.
Okay,
It is largely seasonal.
yeah.
yeah, October, they actually kind of shut down their operation, don't they? I think is the way it works.
Another thing that Brad has curbed is the midnight and 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock party time on the island. And he has a situation where 10 o'clock noises are subdued and it gets to be quiet time. That's very appreciative. I do believe of people who live aboard boathouses and along the river.
I was gonna say, some of the noise was well across the river.
Yeah, exactly.
Any more with that? So there was a program that we submitted for to what we call the Oregon Community Pathways. It's a program through ODOT to have connecting trails between places that are off the highway. And we submitted a $750,000 grant, I believe it was. And we were one project away from getting funded with the last round. And since then, they've over doubled the money in the program, and we're intending to do that again to try to get this connection from Scappoose to St. Helens with this minimum amount of road crossing as possible.
That's still on the Sky Bridge or the Floyd Bridge part.
The tunnel. It's gonna take a lot more than that. It is just a planning grant, so it just takes a big picture look, and it'd be really desirable to have a, pedestrian oriented connection to.
A lot of people desire it.
Oh, yeah, to Scappoose up to the Crownsie Trail, up to Banks, and it could really extend a lot of activity, and hopefully we almost made it last time. Hopefully we're gonna take another run.
Anything to connect us in St. Helens will over the years allow us to develop the ground between Caboose and St. Helens. It's definitely needed.
That's why we're staff thinking that's a good idea, and I'm getting your support for that, and that's great.
May I interject real quick? I was looking up the lease with it in it, under Article 13, the vacation of leased city park. That upon termination, tenant peaceably and quietly yields and surrenders possession of city park and project to landlord, and including tenant improvements. Say it that we have to anyway.
You'll notice that not all, but some of the plaza stuff is up here for Halloween town this year, and that's in advance of some marketing and promotion, and we're getting a lot of big interest and people wanting to do documentaries and
Big production.
bigger production. So we're trying to meet that demand and get some of the decorations up early to have some fun filming opportunities. It's going and looking to be another great year, and ticket sales are super strong and all small. The Rip City Rally Fair is gonna be on September 15th from 4 to 6 p.m. in McCormick Park. And actually spend a full most of the day going to the different schools, while school's in session, then after school there'll be a work set up and free play kind of thing. All kind of on the heels of our grant that we're Blazers grants. That's pretty exciting. So we've been working with strategic network groups on a broadband study, feasibility study. We used some of our ARPA money on that, and they've worked really hard. They've done a lot of work, done a lot of surveying. You've seen probably multiple requests to complete the survey, and they got a pretty good response back. And I spent a fair amount of time weeks ago with them going through the information, and it shows pretty good support for a local broadband option in our community. And so hoping to have them come in and report to the council and go over that information. We're also sharing that with here in Colombo with Colpac. They have a broadband priority to service to the region, and then there's broadband advisory committee, which I'm a member of. St. Helens is relatively served compared to areas outside of St. Helens, but having a robust fiber network that's expandable would be a pretty powerful thing here. It's a public option.
In that, I assume that the fiber going down beside Route 30 is still operational.
So
I mean, do we know whether that cable they put in is still operational?
there's several cables.
Yeah,
There's runs that come through town.
because one of the groups wanted to somehow hook into the Washington side when we've got fiber optic cable. It was question on one of the companies. I mean, it was,
I'm not familiar with that specifically, but they are probably more so than I am. So. All right, on tonight's agenda, and our projects, the Riverwalk's moving along. There's a contract amendment to do some additional scope work in the park. See in your packet there. It's moving along nicely. The streets and utilities is on for tonight, the approval of the construction contract and award to more excavating $15.6 million. That's a really big project. It's really exciting. The important piece of that in my mind is that how it connects to the city's finances is that project is tied to the Urban Renewal Agency and those primarily to the agency's funding sources through the tax increment financing that we're making the investment in the water and in these improvements. And there's also STCs and other grants and things like that that we're bringing to this project to get it funded, but it's actually going to start happening here. And we're timing the construction of the award. You would award the financing tonight. By the time we notice to proceed with construction is going to be November 1st, just so we're clear of all the Halloween's going to pass through, and then we'll have that break afterwards, and they can get started on that. So.
John, just a question regarding the First Street project and intersection of First Street, St. Helens Street, and any kind of is this all tying together, or is that put off to another year, or will all of this work at one time? Because I know we sat down and thought that, you know, the construction would happen all at once at one time with that intersection and the development down in the furthering of the waterfront development. Can you shed some light on that by chance?
So there was phase. There's three phases, and the first was St. Helens Street intersection, the First Street improvements, which include lift station, water, sewer, making those connections all the way to the treatment plant, making the water loop through the site, making all the improvements on the bank side, because the development is facing the other side is not here yet, that we would want to put in something that doesn't get built. So the extension of Strand would also get improved with the Cowlitz pole coming down across, but it wouldn't go any further south until there was development.
Okay, and
Utilities would be there, but the curb gutter sidewalk wouldn't be.
my question is that you alluded to the time, what would be the timing of that endeavor that you just suggested? Or do you know?
But wouldn't the sewer still connect through the Strand?
Yeah.
Yeah, the sewer would still connect through the Strand and stuff.
Yeah, they'll build the lift station and the connecting pipes to the existing one, but they decommission it so they have something.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
So, but I think, so our idea though is to try to get maybe 3 different contractors, is the way I understood talking to Public Works, and you've been meeting with them, is to try to maybe get 3 different contractors on 3 different areas of projects to go all at once, and then like November, for instance, but it'll be phases like this.
This is a big contractor.
Yeah, yes.
They got horsepower.
But we have, yes, that's my understanding though, is to bid them out and like little undergrounding of power, stuff like that, to be less disruptive, to try to get it all in,
Yeah, absolutely.
everybody working together. And get that banged out and then back out and give the citizens, you know, in our higher traffic point at times, and
It's gonna be about a 2-year project.
yes. So
So
it could ebb and flow, is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
Yes.
And business interruption is one of our, to avoid business interruption is one of our
Right.
objectives here.
Yes.
It's gonna be a reality that happens, and there's gonna be times when it has impacts on business. It's just inevitable with digging trenches and paving streets and other people's.
So in terms of city leadership, it's you, the engineering department and the public works department. Manhandling that situation and in terms of leading it and collaborating with the different contractors. Wow, that's a big thing for all of you to take on, but this, just from my perspective, it's in the right hands of individuals with Mojave, Sharon, and yourself leading that charge.
It'll be a really big project.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting back there,
All hands on deck, so.
I'll be sitting back there where Brady sits and being able to put my 2 cents in, all right.
I had a nice conversation with Mohammed a couple of weeks ago, just about, where we're going on things, and I think he's the right guy to have, with his experience, and as you said, Sharon, our planning. So yeah, I think we're in capable hands to see a project well done.
JMS, John, Mohammed, and Sharon.
Yeah, that's a fantastic project. We've been working on it for a long time, and it's starting to happen. I've reached out to some developers after the trying to get rebuild some interest into mixed use buildings and hotels and things of that nature too. So this will help get that catalytic piece happen.
Yeah.
As for the public safety project, I've been underwater here for quite some time here, trying to keep up with that. There's some pieces around the design, the funding, the civil work that we pulled back on the early start that's going to go with the project. We're still moving forward on the design. There's just a lot of moving parts building. Right now, the project cost is somewhere between 19 and 23 million, depending on, there's about $3 million in contingency in there. So looking at the project for prices seem to be stabilizing. That's still a lot of money. We want to make darn good and sure we can afford it and get this designed. We're feel really confident about the finances here.
Sure. Sorry, you want to finish? I can ask you. So in terms of the design, actually, today I had one of our officers as a student in my classroom, Officer Boswell, is one of my third graders, and we've had conference with him today, and I, after the conference, I said, okay, I put my city councilor hat on and said, really hoping to get this public safety facility together and all that, and continue to work. So I'm glad this was a timely report. So I know we had confirmed my memory about that we are reducing the footprint from what we had been originally thinking because of the increased costs. And so just okay, where are we in what is going to be in the building?
Well, I think that, we did discuss it a little bit, but I think that we're moving forward with that on, potentially next meeting, John, we'll have an update.
Yeah, we have one actually scheduled for today.
Okay,
But the meeting chief wasn't out of town. I wasn't feeling confident in it yet, and whether there's a design revision is, we're gonna get to we're pretty far now. Go back and then redirect without that. No, I personally think it makes sense to move it forward as you've stated that you want it, and then see what that costs, see if we can afford it, and then there's a piece that we have to go back and look and.
Start cutting fast.
okay, but so next month is when you anticipate will be.
Yeah, and we are all along the way looking at it with the value engineering lens of trying to, good project at a fair price and economies and efficiencies and things of that nature. But not overly so. We're not boning it out before we get it. There's a tendency to get it.
Okay. Thanks. Good.
I remember that was discussed in our budget meeting, And then,
Yeah, okay.
because where that happened, and they got the look of. I was like, I'm not trying to squash it, I'm just saying that school districts having issues and we've maybe looked at that.
Yeah, no, it's,
Yeah,
you want to be confident.
yeah.
Right.
I think that I do, there is executive session items. So
Okay. All right, well, with that, we will be going into executive session when we adjourn under ORS 192.6602 E. Real property transaction, 8, consulting with legal counsel. And potentially D, labor negotiations.
I motion we adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
great. We are adjourned. Let's take a 10-minute break before we start our